Hi everybody. Those of you joining in via the recording, don't expect me to do this every single time that someone misses class, but on days when we have less than half the class approximately, and when there is an important lecture, I will record our lectures. I've given everybody two handouts. If you're tuning in on Blackboard, the assignments are on Blackboard. First of all, Essay 1, personal narrative. Have we talked about this one already? We've talked about it already? Good. And then, tentative course schedule. This is new, for sure. I have a schedule for you guys. This has the due dates for everything on it, also on Blackboard. The essay due dates are on the second sheet. And then, on the front you can see our units. The first unit, we have due this week our first narrative outline, our first essay outline. The next week, we're going to have your personal narrative draft and a reading response due. I've decided I'm going to do our journals that we talked about, and I'm going to have very small reading responses where I'm just going to ask you to talk about the things we've read, just so I can give you guys points for reading our course textbook and make sure everybody's on the same page with that. The journals will not start until Unit 2. So for class on Wednesday, next Wednesday, you need to have the draft of your first essay. Today I want to talk about ways we can practice, practice brainstorming and outlining your essays. So the first method we're going to practice is called brainstorming. In brainstorming, all you're going to do is write down everything that comes to mind regarding a specific topic. So for your personal narratives, you're going to think about what's that point you want to get across, and you're going to write down everything that comes to mind. And the two things that I need you to keep in mind as you're brainstorming are, one, do not stop to think negative thoughts about it. Do not gainsay yourself or tell yourself that's a bad idea. There are no bad ideas in brainstorming. And two, you want to write down as much as you can in however long you guys sit down to write. So for the entire time that you're practicing brainstorming, I want you to write down as many ideas as you can. I'm going to give us 2 minutes to practice this in class. I want you to brainstorm about your personal narrative for 2 minutes. The next option is called free writing. This is another way you can practice pre-writing. What I want you to do is I want you to get your laptop out or your tablet if you have one. If you only have your phone, you can use it too, but it is more difficult, so ideally a laptop or tablet. Keep the sheet of paper out. We are going to return to it. But what we're going to do is we're going to dim your screen until you can't hardly read anything. And you're going to keep writing without being able to rewrite. You're going to write anything that comes to mind. You're not going to worry about grammar. You're not going to worry about writing full sentences. You're just going to write as much as you can. That's free writing. The goal is to get yourself out of that headspace where you're critical of your ideas, where you're telling yourself, nah, that's probably a bad idea. And in this headspace where you're just putting things out there. Because it's much easier to refine ideas that you've already had than it is to come up with new ideas to begin with. So we're trying to get all of that work done as much as we can right now. All right, so turn your brightness down all the way once you have your Word document ready. And then for 2 minutes, I want you to write about your, one of the ideas you came up with when you were brainstorming. So something that you might use in your essay. I want you to free write about it. So when you guys are writing, do you guys also feel like the first part is always the most difficult? Like it's always the hardest just when you have that blank page? These techniques are ways to help us get past that. When I use free writing for my writing, I usually write down a bunch of various ideas. A lot of times it's like a diatribe or just a monologue to myself. And sometimes I even get a little insulting to myself, like, you don't know jack squat about what you're writing about. And for me, that's part of my research process because it's me identifying the ideas that I need to figure out. For you guys, I would recommend a more positive approach to yourselves. Be nice to yourselves when you're free writing, but if being mean to yourself is the only way you can figure it out, that's okay too. The next method I think is usually the most popular one. It's one called clustering. Let me see if I can adjust the camera. This method's called clustering. And for clustering, we're going to take a central idea and we're going to make clusters of ideas branching off of it. What is a topic that we'd like to cluster about and use as an example for this? Pets. Do we want to talk about why we like a specific pet, or do we want to outline like why you might want to be a pet owner? Favorite pet.
And
All right.
why?
And why? So what is our favorite pet?
Silky anteater.
Silky anteater?
Dog.
Dog? I think that's more reasonable for a common experience. So let's go with dogs. So why you should have a dog? So that's going to be the center of our cluster. And when we think about this question, what else comes to mind? So why should you have a dog? Any ideas? This is like brainstorming.
And protect you.
What was it?
They can protect you.
Protect you? What else?
Being active.
What is it?
Being active.
Being active. What else do we like about dogs?
Gives you something to look forward to.
Something to look forward to. And I'm going to write that as positive because there are other things that I think dogs are generally like positive for, like attitude-wise. Anyone else?
Best friend.
Best friend. All right, so we can branch that off of positive and make best friend. And you said something to look forward to. So there's something to look forward to. They could be your best friend. What else about dogs would we think makes them our favorite?
Silly.
Silliness. Would we put that under one of these, or would you put it as its own branch?
Positive.
It's under positive?
Oh yeah.
Any other things you guys think of when you think of why you like dogs? How about because they're fluffy and soft? Any other reasons we might want a dog? All right, this is clustering. The goal here is to identify connections between ideas. You can also combine things and come up with a new idea, like protect an action. Maybe they protect you on walks. All right, so maybe they protect you on walks. I mean, that looks like the first time I've ever used chalk right there, but it says protect on walks. You can combine these ideas, come up with new things. You might decide you want to rearrange things, and this is a way that where it's easy to decide that you want to reorganize one of your ideas. So maybe you think fluffy is actually something that would go better under positive. It's really easy to make that change. All you have to do is erase a line, mark it out, and make a new one. So I want you guys to practice clustering. I'm going to give you 3 minutes, and I want you to cluster about your first essay using some of the things that you've written for the previous practices. So something you've written for brainstorming or for free writing, or those are the two we've done. Think about that, pick something, put it at the center of your cluster, and start clustering off of it. All right, I'll give you 3 minutes. So there are advantages to this method, and there are some times when we might not want to use it, or some people who might not want to use it. The next method I want you guys to practice is summary. In summary, you write down everything you can think about your specific topic, trying to summarize everything you know about it. So it's a little bit like free writing, but instead of writing everything that comes to mind, you kind of have a goal in mind, which is to make a summary explaining a particular topic. So for this activity, and this is something you might want to do on your computer if your hands are getting cramped from writing, is summarize your experiences in your hometown. This one's one where I feel like it's a bit more helpful when it comes to topics that involve like specific knowledge. So if you're trying to make sure you know enough about a topic to engage with it meaningfully, or you're trying to identify places where you have gaps in your knowledge or things you need to look up, summary is particularly useful. In thinking about your personal narratives, I think summary is the most useful for thinking about how your hometown and your experiences specifically with your hometown influenced you. So with a personal narrative, it might be easy to get lost in specific details or specific experiences without stopping to ground them in that setting. So the summary is a way you can make sure you have an understanding of the setting that you can then put in your personal narrative. The last method I want to practice, and this one doesn't involve writing, the last method is self-talk. The way I do self-talk though, I usually have people talk to someone else. You can do this on your own. You can just talk into the thin air. You can record yourself talking and listen back to it. Or the way I like to do it is you talk to a friend. You stop your mom and make her listen to you talk about a topic. You just bring it up with a friend, make them listen. Or with a peer, you chat about the thing you're writing. And that's what we're going to do right now. I want you to pair up, or if we have a group of 3 here, you can move over there and we'll have a group of 3. Pair up and talk to each other about what you're going to write for your personal narrative. And I'll give you guys a few minutes to do that.